got it wet with my tea.
Oh my gosh.
If it dissolves before our eyes, we're okay. It's just a little thing to keep cough. It works really well. It's called a throat mist. Thing.
That was actually a pretty compelling picture, dogs that with
Is
the
this
baby.
his fault?
Do it.
He's the chairman. It's his fault.
Well, no, it's my fault.
I don't think it would have made a difference. I said,
Oh, okay. Well, then it wasn't my fault.
Ready? We'll begin today with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning. Welcome to the December 10th, 2015 meeting for the Shawnee County Board of County Commissioners. My name is Kevin Cook. I serve as the chair, also representing District 2. Joining me today is Commissioner Shelley Bueller, representing District 1. Good morning. And Commissioner Bob Archer, representing District 3. Good morning.
Good morning.
Madam Clerk, I know we've got a full agenda, so if we could get started with the first item.
the first item is item 3, consent agenda.
Are there any questions or comments regarding the consent agenda?
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Archer for approval of the consent agenda, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item 4, new business A, County Clerk number 1, consider all voucher payments.
Vouchers are totaling $2,108,273.68. Pooled cash, that includes capers and payroll, is $815,808.71. Health insurance administration is $287,034.77. Home workers' comp is $138,566.87. Those make up the largest amounts. I have no questions. Move approval.
There's been a motion by Commissioner Bueller for approval of the vouchers.
Second.
That's been seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
There are no correction orders today.
Okay.
That is, okay. Okay, I'm sorry, correction orders.
I'll move to approve the correction orders.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A3, consider approval of resolutions number 2015-104 to 2015-106, authorizing the 2016 cereal malt beverage license for TJ's Express at 5305 Southwest Topeka Boulevard, Siemens 66 at 4206 North Topeka Boulevard, and Viking Express at 4700 Northwest Hunters Ridge. And Commissioner, these cereal malt beverages have been reviewed by the Counselor's Office. There are no taxes owing on them, and they have gone through all of the protocol. The KBI and the townships have been notified, and the health inspections were done.
I'll move then to approve the request for the 2016 cereal malt beverages for those entities.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller by a hair. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item A4, consider approval of resolution number 2015-107, authorizing a 2016 cereal malt beverage license for the Shack, Inc. at 2842 Southeast 29th Street, including Sunday sales. And this is also a cereal malt beverage license. The difference on this one is it does have Sunday sales with it. Everything has been also reviewed by the counselor of the KPI, township notified, no taxes, and I recommend approval.
Move to approve the resolution.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B, Sheriff's Office. Number 1, acknowledge the receipt of correspondence from the sheriff indicating they will be purchasing fuel from Capital City Oil in an amount of $200,000 from the 2015 budget.
Morning, Commission. Herman Jones, Shawnee County Sheriff. What you have before you is basically just what we're trying to do is just continue on with our fiscal responsibility of trying to purchase fuel for what we have this year with not knowing what the economics would be for next year. We've been successful with this for the last couple of years there. As of this year, our expenses that we had are buying down on fuel. As of November, I believe, we were just able to get into this year's budget. And so the purchase that we did from last year was able to get us all the way through November before we actually start getting into that. Basically, we run into the same thing of what we have, just trying to get ahead of that fiscal purchase.
Sheriff, when you do this, are you purchasing the fuel at the current rate? Are you purchasing, is this a rollover, just to purchase fuel throughout the year? How are you purchasing? Is this $200,000 at whatever the current rate is today?
It's at whatever current there. This is an allotment of money, and then no more different than what we would do any other time. So we try to look at if we lock down on that right there, but what we find of current time is that we've been able to be benefit of the low cost of fuel at the current rate.
Are there other questions regarding this item?
I'll move to acknowledge receipt of correspondence.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller. I will second the acknowledgement of the receipt. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B2, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from the sheriff indicating they will be purchasing a SWAT robot at a price of $57,078.50 from the 2015 budget.
Commission, what we have before you is basically the purchase of a tool that will augment our personnel when we have in special operations. Basically what it does, it allows us to send in a mechanic robot into certain situations there. It takes the a life out of jeopardy of certain situations. Obviously with the climate, what we've seen over the last few months through America, we're just trying to prepare ourselves to be better equipped so that we can handle these types of situations in case they do happen here. God forbid it would, but we're preparing ourselves no more different than any other type of training that we have.
Questions regarding this?
No questions.
Commissioner Archer, do you have?
I understand TPD has 4 robots. Can we work with them? I understand they would be available to the sheriff's department anytime it would be needed.
We have several things that we do work with and coordinate with those type of things, but there's been many times that with the sheriff's office that we have had operations that go concurrent to what the police department is, and it would not be feasible to have trying to wait for a fuel to come, and then there are certain things that would take us out into the other areas outside the city.
Okay, I just have heard a number of members of the sheriff's department that complain about overtime and being stressed, and we're understaffed. And I'm wondering if this is going to be taking money away from staffing levels that need to be.
No, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions regarding that?
No.
Again, I'll make a motion then to acknowledge receipt of the correspondence from the sheriff regarding the purchase.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B3, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from the sheriff indicating they will be purchasing emergency equipment for the 2016 Ford Police Interceptors at a cost of $16,961 from the 2015 budget.
Commission, what you have here before you is just purchase of certain items that help augment the purchase of new vehicles there. What happens is that we've had Crown Vics, or Ford Crown Vics, which is a different model style than what we have of the Ford Interceptors there. So we've gone from sedan to a SUV type vehicle, and with that then, things don't retrofit, so we have to buy new equipment to make that, such as when we talk about our cages, or we're talking about our mounts for our monitors, or the MDTs, which is mobile data terminals in the vehicles there. So it just augments the purchase of new vehicles that we've made before.
And so, and again, just for the sake of clarification, recently, within the last month and a half, the sheriff's office had requested or notified the commission that they were spending $380-ish thousand. I'm looking at our audit finance director for more, maybe definite amount, but I recall $380,000 for new vehicles and equipment. And so this would be the additional equipment for those vehicles?
Yes, that's correct.
Other questions?
Move to acknowledge receipt.
There's been a motion made to acknowledge receipt by Commissioner Bueller. Second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B4, acknowledge receipt of correspondence from the sheriff indicating they will be purchasing transport cages and seats for the new 2016 Ford Police SUVs at a cost of $12,629.70 from the 2015 budget.
Commissioners, this is dovetail to what we just addressed right there. This is more equipment of cages. When we transport individuals that have been detained or arrested right there, we don't have just normal seats that you would have in your vehicle there. We have to have safety precautions there. So it's a cage and seat. So we just, for the safety of the person transported and for the officer, these are the equipment that we have to purchase.
Questions regarding this item?
No, move to acknowledge receipt.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller, second by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item.
Item B5, consider authorization and execution of contract C527-2015 with SHI International Corp. for annual maintenance of 5 computer monitors for 4 years at a cost of $22 per monitor.
I guess I have a little bit of such thing. I thought this was an item was pulled. I don't know what it is. Basically, so you understand, is when we make purchases of computers, we work with our county's IT, and if we make a purchase of a certain item, then there comes an agreement or maintenance agreement. What we have discovered that is for the cost of the maintenance agreement versus the purchase of the item over the course of time, it's not being very frugal financially to buy an agreement that over the time of 3 years or so, we pretty much have bought a monitor. So with the expectation that a monitor would last about 3 to 4 years, by the time we would have a maintenance agreement, we bought another monitor. So we just thought what we were thinking of this, of having that pool, was not to do this, but that's what it was about.
So are you asking the item then to be removed?
It was my understanding that had asked for that. I don't know if that is the case. I think Mark Price probably answered that.
Mark Price with Shawnee County IT. We're actually, late yesterday, working on getting those contracts canceled. So at this time, the contracts technically are still out there, but I should have confirmation today on whether those can be canceled, and then we don't have to worry about payment.
So at this time, then, we would remove item B5 from consideration.
So moved.
Motion made then by Commissioner Cook to remove item B5, and seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Next item.
Item B6, consider authorization and execution of contract C528 with 528-2015 with Rick Haladke for maintenance of the training complex in 2016 at a cost of $1,800 per month from the federal forfeiture account.
Commissioner, what you have here is basically just an agreement, a yearly agreement that we have with our caretaker of our training complex in the south part of the county. This has been going on for some years or so. It's been the same cost or so. It's just a renewal of the contract.
And are there any questions on move approval of the contract?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B7, consider authorization and execution of contract C529-2015 with the Offender Watch at a cost of $500 per month for 2016 from the Offender Registration account.
What you have here before you there, Commissioner, is basically it's just with Offender Watch, which augments our registration of offenders in our county. This is just a system that we have. again, it's just another contract that an annual contract that we have each year.
And I might note, this is not tax dollars that are supporting this. The people that are on a registration list are paying a fee, which is then paying for this service.
It basically, those that are registered are paying for this service, is basically what it comes to.
I'll make a motion to acknowledge receipt,
Second, actually,
Or you have to approve.
or motion to approve, I'm sorry. Motion to approve by Commissioner Cook,
second.
seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B8, consider authorization and execution of contract C-530-2015 with Robert Mosier for Kalia Consulting Services at a cost of $300 per day for 2016 from the state forfeiture account.
Commissioner, what you have before you is basically our consultant that works with us on our CALEA, or our Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies there. This is an individual that is proficient in this area, where we work with him throughout the year, not just an annual thing, but throughout the year, make sure that all our files are squared away, and make sure that we're prepared for the annual or the every 3 years when we come up with reaccreditation. Again, this is a process that's an annual agreement that we have.
Sheriff, is there an idea of approximately how much this has cost us in the past? This memorandum says $300 per day. How many days are they working?
Basically, it comes out to about a couple of days each month when he comes in. This is the same individual that is contracted with the police department locally. So when he comes in, sometimes he can contract, or he'll do his contract work with the police department as well as us, and he splits the cost or so. So this here is just at maximum of what he's going to cost for us.
And again, it's not tax dollars it's coming from the forfeiture fund.
That's correct.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer for approval, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B9, consider authorization and execution of contract C-531-2015 with Chaplain John Hanson for chaplaincy service in 2016 at a cost of $500 per month from the 2016 budget.
Commission, what you have is a renewal of the contract that we have with, as it says, Chaplain John Hanson. He is a retired pastor as well, or chaplain from the Army or military services there. He's been with us for several years there. He provides services as far as assisting officers when we are at crime scenes or making notification to individuals of bereavement. He works with our officers when it comes to peer support and those types of things. He's just been a tremendous asset to our agency that we have. So this is a continuation of the process.
Questions regarding this?
Have them move approval of the contract.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller for approval of contract.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item B10, consider approval of resolution number 2015-108, authorizing the issuance of a credit card for Lieutenant Daniel Botrig with a credit limit of $5,000 and increasing the credit limit to $5,000 for Captain Thomas Bruno.
Commissioner, what you have here is two individuals that have been placed. One is Lieutenant Dan Lodridge has been put in a different position, which would allow him now that we would have to make purchases, maybe travel and those types of things right there. So we're just increasing that. And then we've got a promotion of Captain Tom Brodow, which just puts it into the same level of being a commander, of having access to those type of things. Not that we're doing this every day, just gives him opportunity in case something comes up. He has that the purchasing power there to move forward with anything that goes with it.
And has this gone through the Audit Finance Department for approval? Any other questions?
No, move to adopt the resolution.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller to adopt the resolution.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Item C, planning, number 1, acknowledge receipt of the findings and recommendations from the Building Code Exploratory Committee and consider further action.
Morning, Commissioners. Barry Deagle, Shawnee County Planning Department. I would like to give you just a couple introductory comments, and then I'm going to turn it over to Brian Jakes, who served as the chair of the exploratory committee, and the members of the committee who are here, who may also wish to offer comments with regard to this proposal. I would just like to thank the County Commission for the leadership and the opportunity to engage in this discussion. It's been good. It has allowed us to engage members of the building and development community. It's allowed us to engage the public on a very timely and important issue, that is the safety associated with the structures that we build within the unincorporated area. The exploratory committee commenced their work on July 23rd and maintained a 2-week meeting schedule, conducting a total of 9 meetings. Over that time, there was 2 public meetings that were held, one for the benefit of the building and development community, and a second meeting for the benefit of the general public about the idea of adopting a building code within the unincorporated area. Over the course of this time, we also opened a special website to give the public access to the Building Code Exploratory Committee, so all the agendas, minutes, all the resource materials that were available to the committee member was also available on that website, so the public had full access to that information as well. In the end, there was good spirited discussion by the members of this committee. This was not in any way, shape, or form a rubber stamp group. Every comment that was made generally met with a challenge and further discussion, and nothing was just taken on its face. A good example of that was the vehicle that was used to offer a recommendation to the County Commission, which was a SWOT analysis, where the committee examined the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and potential threats associated with implementing a building code within the unincorporated area. And that's a central part of the report, which is before you. And for the identification of each item and how it was placed within the SWOT table, as well as the prioritization of that item that appears in the SWOT table, all of that followed a very deliberate discussion process and voting in order to represent to you the viewpoint of this committee with regard to their final recommendation to support the idea of the county moving forward with a building code. I would like to, acknowledge certainly the work of all 13 members of the committee. This is taking time from them in their personal and professional life to serve on this group, and this was no light matter for them to get engaged with. I would also like to thank Jolie Charles and Anna Ortega of my staff, who provided additional staff support to the committee. And then finally, I would also like to thank the commission again for your leadership in allowing for this issue to come forward for discussion. With that, I will conclude my comments, and unless there's any questions specifically of me at this time, I would like to have Brian Jakes, the chair of the committee, come forward and offer additional comments.
Any questions for Mr. Beagle at this time?
All right. Thank you.
Much for giving us the opportunity to visit with you this morning. I had the pleasure of serving on the Planning Commission for many years and working with Barry and his staff, and they provide wonderful support for us, and as they do to you, I believe. And also, we've had just a great group of folks from many different sectors. We've had a building inspector, we've had builders, attorney or two, that never hurts, and some contractors, electricians. We had some folks from the city's building code department. We had a representative from the Home Builders Association. So we had and Commissioner Archer as well. So that has been a good group of people. The SWOT analysis is in your material, and I would encourage you to take a look at that and look at some of the issues. But for me, the thing that, it's nice to be able to come here and present this type of approach and not be saying, look at this tragedy that's happened in our community that's brought us here. I think there's a risk of not having standards in the county that provide us, that lead to that potential risk that, we have fire or something like that that's caused from poor construction. One of the most compelling testimony that we had presented was from an electrician who was also a volunteer firefighter. And those were essentially his concerns as well, saying, you know, I see construction that isn't of the quality and that it should be, at least in his opinion, and based upon the code that operates other places, and fear that he'd go out into a home and there'd be a fire and that'd be the result of it. I would also note we have some examples in the county that haven't been tragic, but that have been disappointing, shall we say. There was a very large home here in Shawnee County that, because of the building standards that were used in that home, ultimately required that it be torn down. That, had there been a building code in place and there had been inspections, that may have saved a waste of millions of dollars, at least $1 million. I'm not sure millions. Another example of testimony that we heard was an electrician who came in and looked at some repairs that the person wanted done in the home, and ultimately said, this house there's so many issues here that I'm not sure that I could do this, and talked to the insurance company, and the insurance company said, don't touch that. We don't want you to be involved in that. That may cause problems for you. And so I think those kind of issues are things that say if we had at least a minimum standard and somebody else out there looking at it, that would make sense. One of the developers that we had on our board made the comment that his practice is that he builds to code, whether it's in the city or out of the city, because from a liability perspective that makes sense. And he hopes that his subs are building to code as well. But having somebody else come and watch his subs, he welcomes that, because it's another set of eyes to make sure that things are being done in the way that they should be done. Those are essentially my comments and things that I thought would be helpful testimony today. We as a committee opted not to make recommendations on the next step for you. But I thought that my own personal comments, I thought I should add that I think that the likely next step, if you choose to go forward with this, would be to appoint a committee to look at two issues really. One is what kind of structure this would be, and secondly, to adopt a code. The discussion as to what kind of time frame that would look like, it may be a year and a half process to do that. And I mention that because I also know that being on the Planning Commission, we've looked at starting the comprehensive plan going forward. Obviously, you know more than I do about the budget restraints and concerns that we have at the county. This is a process that would essentially be beyond that, or could be beyond that comprehensive plan going forward, because of just the going forward steps. And I think it makes sense to have periodic reviews back to you as to progress and things that are going on, but overall that would be my thought. I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Questions for Mr. Jakes at this time? So if I were to understand, you are asking that the commission adopt the recommendations of the committee without a specific, and again, the committee does not have a specific recommendation as to the next step. But your own personal view, in just summary, would be that to appoint a secondary committee that would review what code or what type of code to implement, how it would be enforced, and et cetera.
That's correct. And I guess I would add, the other general consensus had been of the committee that if we looked at a building code, starting with what the city does would be a good place to start, because we wouldn't be recreating the wheel. Folks that build in the city and in the county, the closer that those two are together, the easier it is for everybody who's building.
And likewise, if there was a recommendation to exclude buildings that were already constructed, that, much as I believe the city had a similar issue years ago when they changed their code, anything that was already existing would be grandfathered in, but any new construction moving forward.
That's correct. In the city code, your buildings are grandfathered in, but if you're doing a certain amount of renovations and those kind of things, it may require some upgrading of, in other words, if your electrical system isn't up to snuff and you're redoing your living room, well, you may have to make some improvements to get it up to snuff.
Any other questions from Mr. Jakes based on that?
Just a point of clarification that we're talking about unincorporated areas of the county. I know that the city of Rossville has building codes and they have an inspector, and they have those things set in place, much like the city of Topeka. But what we're talking about is just the unincorporated areas of the county.
That's correct.
Okay.
Commissioner Archer, any questions? Okay. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this time, I know that there is or I speculate there's a number of individuals present in the audience that may want to offer suggestions or comments to the commission based on this report and this item. I would just ask that if you come to the podium, please do state your name so that it can be recorded by our clerk. We don't have a sign-up sheet, so anybody is welcome to make comment. We don't have a time limit, but we would just ask you to be respectful of everyone else's time as well. And if somebody has already said the same thing that you're going to say, you might just say, just as the last speaker said, I agree with their comments. That being said, if there are any comments from the public, we would love to hear from them at this point.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Richard Faulkner. I am the Division Director for Development Services for the City of Topeka. I'm over the Building Code section, and I was a member of the committee. I just want to share that I appreciate what we're doing here today, or considering here today. As we all know, we have the responsibility of providing a safe environment for our citizens. By identifying an area by which we can do that, and considering the options for that is a plus for this community. Not only will building codes provide a safer environment, but it also will help improve the quality of life for the individuals in the community. As Brian mentioned, a lot of times codes are adopted after fatalities have happened. Codes are changed generally after fatalities have happened. For this commission to take this under consideration when those things aren't happening, you need to be commended for it. And I would support the adoption of the code, and I will assist in any way that I can as you move forward in this process. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments?
Commissioners, I'm Ivan Weichert. I represent the Topeka Home Builders Association. 53 years we've been working in the community to raise awareness and provide excellence in the building industry. This is, I think, my third time in front of a commission to speak on behalf of these kinds of issues. The county doesn't have a very good record for looking at this issue. And in fact, in H.R. 1994-3, they adopted a resolution that required smoke detectors in all new residential structures. That passed. It's a good thing. I have not been able to find anyone who can support that it was ever monitored, inspected, or audited. So putting something in place that doesn't have teeth in it or accountability is hardly an action at all. And that was from 1994. One of the other speakers mentioned that recently there was $1 million house that had to be torn down. Could have been avoided with inspections and code compliance. The situation presents itself again. Recently, a permit was applied for in unincorporated Shawnee County for a $3.5 million home that's going to be built. And at present, And under that permit, there are no codes, no minimum standards to be adhered to. I personally believe that that home will be built in a much better sense because it's got some reputable builders and architects involved in it. So that family may be able to rely on them to account for that. But at this point, there is no requirement for that. My fear in that is that most, I'm guessing at this, but I'd say most people in Shawnee County have no clue that their new home has never been inspected by anyone. And I think that's something that we have an opportunity to work forward to correct. It may take a year and a half or 2 years to really find the best way to do it, because I don't support just going all out to put a huge code in place and cause financial difficulties to support it. But I think there are ways to accomplish that and move forward. I also believe, because of the fee structure that was adopted in 2010, that a lot of that is already available to be paid for inspections. Reminding you again that this $3.5 million house, although they have to have a building permit to move forward, that requires that they know that it's being placed properly on the property and that it meets the zoning requirements. The highest fee you pay in the city of Topeka for a new residential structure, no matter what size or value, $830. The building permit fee for this $3.5 million home is $7,300. That's what was received by Shawnee County to process the paperwork. I'd say that sufficiently would pay for inspections. Not all of them for the whole county, but the fees that were set in place in 2010 could go a long ways to meeting the needs of that. And I think with the cooperation of the city of Topeka, we'll be able to find a way to move forward in this. I would urge you to consider this affirmatively and set in place another committee to move forward for whatever it takes. So I won't have to come back a fourth time. Thank you. Any questions?
Any
No,
questions?
thank you.
All right, thank you. Are there any other public comments at this time? Barry, I do have a question. If the commission was to approve the committee's request moving forward, we've been talking and hearing information today about residential homes. But moving away from that, what about commercial or industrial efforts? Currently, does Shawnee County have any requirements for a code in the unincorporated areas regarding industrial or commercial endeavors?
Not at the local level. There is a Kansas State Fire Prevention Code for which, for certain types and classifications and structures, especially for the public assembly places and so forth, they have to submit what is called a code footprint to show life safety features are being addressed and built into those structures. But that only applies to structures that are multifamily and above, but does not include single and two-family structures. But it has somewhat limited application with regard to how it actually is applied in the field. But otherwise, no, there is no local inspection for any structure, whether it be from an accessory building up to an industrial plant.
So if an industrial plant wanted to currently build a structure in Shawnee County, we have no standards relating to lighting, lead, electrical, or other?
Nothing. I will add that was part of the discussion of the committee was, well, okay, the future orientation for how this thing could move forward, should we just concentrate on residential? Should it also include commercial? And I think the committee was of the opinion that any effort to move forward should look at the full breadth of construction within the unincorporated area. It shouldn't be limited to just residential. But therein lies great opportunity for discussion of creating a program that is unique to Shawnee County that would address that. It doesn't have to be a replication of a Johnson County model or anybody else, that we can create, something that is respective of the type of construction and volume of construction that we see within unincorporated Shawnee County.
And Barry, are there other urban counties in Kansas that do not have a code?
Well, part of the information that was part of the report indicated that of the top 5 counties within the state of Kansas, all have a building code with the exception of Shawnee County. And of the top 10 populated counties, 6 of the 10 have a building code for the unincorporated area. So we are unique in the fact that we do not have a standard for construction within the unincorporated area of the most populated counties in Kansas.
Questions caused by that?
No questions. I just want to make a point that in several places in this report, it said minimum standards, and it had it underlined and capitalized and whatever. I mean, that's what we're looking at to begin with, correct?
Correct. Anything that Shawnee County would adopt through the International Code Council or whatever code that is adopted within the county, that represents a minimum standard of construction. It doesn't mean that everything is going to be, shiny brass knobs or whatever you want to consider it to be, but it's setting a minimum standard that all contractors have to adhere to. And most contractors exceed whatever that minimum standard is.
Okay.
Commissioner Archer, you had the opportunity to serve on the committee.
Yes.
And hear their comments. Do you have any thoughts for us today?
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that there are benefits to having minimum standards for safety and consistency and all the reasons that we've discussed. I think it's important to identify what standards we're going to apply, and I think it's even more important to realize that you don't get benefits without costs. There will be costs, and that's just a fact. It's going to cost more to build property. If you want to renovate or remodel, it's going to cost more money. There's going to be a bureaucracy set up, theoretically, if it's monitored and enforced. So those are the things that we need to think about and talk about, is how we can do it efficiently and effectively if we're going to adopt a minimum code. I don't have any problem going forward, but the citizens need to realize there will be a cost to implementing the safety and minimum standards that we have for building code. Those are my thoughts.
As the cliche may go, the devil is in the details.
Exactly, exactly. I think the committee did a good job. I compliment Barry, Ivan, and even Dave Watson participated significantly. And they did a good job. They looked at in a systematic manner. So I think we should explore, but again, we need to make sure, and it may be partnering with the city of Topeka, but I think we need to move forward in looking at this, and that's my view.
I would just add, I know, Barry, you mentioned about the comprehensive plan, and us going forward with that is a one-time cost,
That's
and most
correct.
likely will be done with an outside contractor.
Yes.
And granted, this would be going on at the same time we would be having ongoing discussions about the building codes. But do you anticipate any concerns with that?
Well, we are a department replete with staff, all 3 of us. But it's been a process to support the committee. But I believe that if we made an effort or a decision that we were going to move forward with a building code committee that's actually going to get down to the nitty-gritty details as we're moving forward with the comprehensive plan, I believe that we can divide our time to meet those expectations.
Okay, thank you.
And Barry, would you want to, if the action item is approved today, would you want to sit down and formulate what the committee would look like and who would make up the committee and bring that back as a separate item?
I would be happy to, yes.
So the action being, so again, to be clear as to what action is being requested, is it my understanding that you're asking the commission to adopt the report that's presented today and to commission you to formulate what the next step would be and then to bring that back to the commission at a later date?
That would be my request, yes.
Given that, I would move to adopt the report from the committee and to so charge the planning director to formulate as to what the next step would be, what the committee would look like towards the adoption of a code at a later point. That's a motion by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bueller. Any other comments? All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item D, Information Technology. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C532-2015 with TSG for hardware and software maintenance for the AS400 and RS6000 server platforms at a cost of $17,328.67.
Good morning, Commissioner. Pat O'Munder with the Information Technology Department. This item is a renewal of the maintenance contract for 3 pieces of equipment. These devices support public safety systems, our New World implementation. And basically, the maintenance contracts just give us the ability to obtain support for replacement parts and software upgrades. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
I might note also, Pat's my understanding that we've gone off the mainframe, and that the world did not come to an end.
Yes, the world still functions. We have removed from production the mainframe platform.
And so we are seeing some cost savings from by doing that.
Yes, yes, we are no longer obligated to pay maintenance contracts for software and hardware on that platform, and we can redirect those funds to more beneficial pursuits.
Any other questions?
Can we put it on Craigslist?
Tried finding a buyer for the remaining hardware, but I was laughed at because it's so old and out of date that nobody wants it.
The Historical Museum.
We got full value out of that platform. Let's put it that way.
Perhaps the Kansas Historical Museum might want to.
Maybe.
It's an artifact.
Maybe.
Judge Biller may want that.
I'll move to approve.
Motion for approval by Commissioner Archer,
Second.
second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Item E, Parks and Recreation. Number 1, consider approval to fill a park maintenance worker position in the Asset Management Division of the Parks and Recreation Department at a salary of $37,477, including benefits, and to fill any subsequent positions that become vacant as a result of filling this position.
Good morning, Commissioners. I know you might not have noticed, but Cindy Harper's really relieved that she's able now to move ahead with her house that she was building. Is that your house?
3.5.
Commissioners, this is a request to fill a vacant position. It's a park maintenance level worker position. We do have sufficient funds in this year's budget and anticipate having sufficient funds in next year's budget. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
What other questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer, second by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item E2, consider approval of request to apply for a water restoration and protection strategy grant for a parking lot drainage rain garden with a total project cost of $21,144.26, with Shawnee County share being $9,175, which will be an in-kind service including labor and equipment costs.
Commissioners, if you recall that over the past couple of years, there's been an issue with the water quality at Lake Shawnee. We have a number of people in our community and staff, I want to commend Terry Bertles and his staff too, that jumped on this before it became a real issue at Shawnee County. We put some vegetative mass out last year through this grant. This is another step forward, moving to take the drainage off of the hard surface areas of the girls' parking lot, catch that water, let it slowly release into the lake, and this rain garden will take the pollutants out before it gets into the lake. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have. Terry may be able to go into greater detail if you'd like.
Any questions regarding this item?
I do have a question. John, is this going through the leadership team with RAPS? Because if it is, I'll probably abstain from this vote since I serve on that group as well.
Yes.
Okay. I see Terry shaking his head. Thank you.
Given that, I will move to approve the request.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, noting
Abstain.
passing 2-0 with Commissioner Bueller abstaining. Next item.
Item E3, consider approval of request to submit a grant proposal to the Sunflower Foundation for construction of a portion of a Gage Park perimeter fitness trail with maximum grant amount of $110,000 from the Sunflower Foundation and requiring a 50% match from Shawnee County.
Commissioners, we're asking for permission to apply for a grant through the Sunflower Foundation to help us begin to put a fitness trail in that goes around the Gage Park area. It won't totally be Shawnee County Parks and Rec, as the city of Topeka is putting in walks along the east side of Gage Park as we speak. There are future plans as they come up 6th Street and 10th Street to include areas, but there is another section that would hook all them together. So we want to have permission to apply for this grant with the Sunflower Foundation. The only thing I might tweak a little bit in what the clerk just read is we want to ask for not only a $110,000 match from the foundation, but we want to also ask for a one-time special grant of $10,000 also from them that is not matching, so they can help us in developing. What I'd like to begin to develop is a fund or some enthusiasm to help offset the county's cost for this trail and maybe even future trails. Be happy to answer any questions you have.
John, the request at this point is to apply for the grant.
Correct.
Move approval.
I'll in a second, but before I do, I just have one question, and that's maybe more for Terry. I note that you're asking that it be 8 to 10 feet wide. Does that comply with the trail standards? Didn't know if they seem to be wider, or there were some trails that have been previously constructed that were more narrow that we've now needed to go back and re-examine whether they should be wider.
Yes, Terry Bertles, Park and Recreation. Commissioner, your latter comment is accurate. The standards used to be 8 feet. They are now 10 feet. The trails around Gage Park will be 10 feet. Sunflower Foundation does not require that we meet AASHTO standards, but other grants that we will be applying for do, so we're building them to 10 feet.
10 feet may seem like a lot until you have two bicycles that meet each other.
Correct.
So, again, motion made by Commissioner Bueller, seconded by Commissioner Cook. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item E4, consider authorization and execution of contract C 533-2015 with the Topeka, Kansas Quarter Midget Association for use of 7 acres of land for racing activities and exhibitions at the Topeka, Kansas Quarter Midget Track for a sum of $1,000 annually.
Commissioners, this is a group that we work closely with. We've had a contract with for several years. It's an actual third-party agreement between us and the National Park Service for land that's down in the Montera neighborhood, that's part of the Shawnee South Community Park. For us to run a quarter midget track and all of the activities that go along with it would be an enormous expense to the county. It's a great partnership for the community. They come in, they put their time, effort, their money into it. They pay us $1,000 a year. And one of the other things that we learned through this process of talking with them and renewing this program is that they want to actively go after a national event and bring a national quarter midget tournament or race here to Topeka and Shawnee County, which will have an enormous economic impact on the whole community. Be happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Any questions regarding this item?
Move to approve the contract.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer to approve the contract, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you, John.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Our next item.
Item F, Court Administration, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 534-2015 with court-appointed special advocates to provide services to the residents of Shawnee County at a cost of $54,900 from the 2016 District Court budget.
Good morning, Commissioners. Kathy Linhart, Court Administration. This is an ongoing contract we've had for years, and we've maintained it in the court budget because CASA does such a wonderful job for the juvenile court in being advocates for the children that are referred to them. So, any questions?
Any questions regarding this item?
No.
Move approval.
I'll second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Kathy.
Our next item.
Item G, Public Works Solid Waste. Number 1, consider approval of final change order to contract C77-2015 with Ham Inc. for the Southwest Indian Hills Road to Southwest Cannock Chase Road project with an adjustment resulting in an overall contract price increase in the amount of $12,377.93.
Commissioners, Tom Block with Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a Public Works item, and about 3 weeks ago, we completed the construction of the Southwest 29th Street between Indian Hills and Urish Road. And at the end of each project, we do a final accounting of all the quantities of the different bid items that were constructed, and that is what this one and only change order is a reconciling of all the items that were actually used. The amount, as mentioned, is an increase of $12,377.93, which would make the final as constructed contract amount $2,669,344.56. This change order is essentially 0.4% of the contract price, and with the change order, this project still came under budget, over $200,000 under budget. So it's our recommendation that this be approved. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any questions regarding? I'll move approval.
I'll second and say that the people in Southwest are glad that 29th Street is finally reopened.
Definitely.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item G2, consider authorization and execution of contract C535-2015, memorandum of understanding with Jackson County, setting out the maintenance responsibilities for Shawnee County Bridge number 0SN 137, Jackson County Bridge number 0.1 over a tributary to Little Soldier Creek, Jackson County, and road maintenance of Northwest 94th Street between Northwest Landon Road and Jackson County Road number 0.4, Shawnee County.
Commissioners, Tom Block again with Public Works and Solid Waste. This too is a Public Works item. As you may recall, a couple of weeks ago, I had a contract similar to this that was approved by the commission between Shawnee County and Jackson County, and this again is the bridges we have in place. They are kept on a national bridge inventory, and each entity sends their information into KDOT, who monitors this for the entire state. There were a couple of bridges in which we had them listed on our inventory, and Jackson County had them listed on their inventory. KDOT requested that the two entities get together and determine who was going to be responsible for each one, and to let them know. And so we got with Jackson County and agreed upon who was going to take which bridge. Essentially, this bridge that we're talking about today is one that they have maintained in the past. It's just going to clarify it for KDOT so they know in the future who to contact in case anything needs to be done with this bridge. So this contract here is just a clarification of essentially doing what we've been doing for many, many years. Jackson County has already signed off on it, and now we're just waiting execution from this commission. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them.
Any questions?
No, move approval of the contract.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller for approval of the contract.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next item.
Item H, Treasurer, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C536-2015 with CBS Manhattan LLC as a sole source provider to upgrade security cameras for the courthouse motor vehicle.
Oh, excuse me.
Madam Clerk, I think we missed one item.
Oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
I will gladly skip this next one.
Is this gonna take very long? I'm sorry. G3, presentation and discussion regarding the Sherwood waste system rates.
Yeah, as I mentioned to the clerk, I would gladly skip this item.
Oh, we'll let you.
Well, this is something that we never have any fun talking about, but we have a responsibility to talk about it, and I'm here to talk about it today. Regarding sewer rates, Sherwood wastewater system. Let's go on. As you are aware, Shawnee County owns the Sherwood wastewater system, and so we're responsible for its operation and maintenance and providing that type of service for the customers that have their waste go to it. So as far as this presentation is concerned, there's a couple of goals I want to try to accomplish, and one is just provide the commission with information to allow it to make informed decisions regarding the sanitary sewer rates for the Sherwood Regional Wastewater System. And secondly, provide recommendations regarding adjustments to sanitary sewer rates and hopefully begin discussion on the next steps for possible implementation of the rates. First, I want to start off with a little bit of background information, just to, if you're not aware of that system. Lake Sherwood area, I believe, began being developed in the 1960s out around the lake in the regional, or the improvement district was formed late in later years, but that was just mainly a development back in the 60s, and they had rapid growth to the point where they had to have their own treatment system, and they used to just have like a 2-cell lagoon. And back in the 1980s, or prior, from the commencement of this development up to like around 1980, the Sherwood Improvement District owned and operated the regional wastewater system. But as I mentioned, it was experiencing significant growth, and it really got to a point where they didn't have, as an improvement district, really didn't have the technical expertise or the staff to be able to operate a wastewater system of that nature. So back in 1981, the county entered into an agreement with the improvement district to take over that system, the ownership and the maintenance and operation of it through Home Resolution 81-1. So at that point, the county was in the wastewater business. Currently, even though we are the owners and are responsible for the operation and maintenance, Shawnee County, Public Works, we do not have a wastewater staff. We have, few engineers, but we have no staff that is dedicated to just doing the maintenance and operation. So we contract with the city of Topeka, who is set up with it through their water pollution control division, and we contract with them to provide the operation and maintenance of the, essentially the system on our behalf, and we just pay them for their services. Currently, there are just over 4,200 customers that are served by this wastewater system. Growth has leveled off quite a bit, really since around 2008, 2009 timeframe when the economy dipped. But however, operation and maintenance costs keep increasing, and the system just keeps getting older. There are many rehabilitation and replacement needs that we have identified in the last several years. We completed a pump station replacement and bore drain project in 2011, and that was primarily financed with some cash reserves that have been built up over the years. So we have been doing some upgrades, but we're at a point that we're limited in what we're able to do. And then here, within about the last year, we also did a TV inspection and cleaning contract just around the oldest areas of the system, which are primarily around the original Lake Sherwood subdivision area. This wastewater system, even though it was originally formed around Lake Sherwood, has now expanded out quite a ways and even dips into areas of the city. But during this TV inspection and cleaning, there were some other areas in the collection system that we identified that there are some issues that we feel need to be addressed, fairly soon. As far as the last rate increase, it was all the way back in 2000, and that's a long time for rate increase. And I'll admit we probably should have addressed this several years ago, but it's one of those things where it doesn't become a priority. You just don't necessarily bring it, to the forefront. So, but that is what it is. We didn't, we had cash reserves. We were going along fine. Those cash reserves are now dropping, and we're at a point where I think we need to do something. But anyway, the last rate increase as mentioned was in 2000, and the current rate, which was set in place at that time, was $11.26 for a base charge of for your first 1,500 gallons of water usage. And sewer rates are set typically using what's called a winter average. You take your 3 months of December, January, and February, because that's considered the time of year when you won't be doing any watering of lawns and your water usage is the lowest. And so primarily during those 3 months, most of the water you use goes straight to the sanitary sewer system. So they take the water average of those 3 months, determine what you use. That sets your sewer bill for the remainder of the year until the next winter average is reestablished. But anyway, so the current rate, which was set back in 2000, was $11.26 for the first 1,500 gallons. So if you use 0 or use 1,500 gallons, your sewer bill would be $11.26. Once you go above 1,500 gallons, then it becomes, you get charged on a per 1,000 gallon basis, which is prorated. So typically 5,000 gallons is kind of your average, for lack of a better term, your average usage for a typical residence. And at the current rates, for a 5,000 gallon user, their monthly sewer bill would be $27.68 under the current rate structure. Since 2000, inflation has increased 37% from 2000 to 2015. And yeah, we kept our rates the same. If you were to make an equivalent rate to what the 2000 rates were at that time, the $27.68, if you multiply that by 37%, that equivalent rate today would be $37.92 for that same 5,000 gallons. So the $37.92 today would be the same as the $27.68 back in 2000. Also, we recently have had a rate study worked on from consultant PEC, Professional Engineering Consultants. We also, as part of that study, looked at rates through 21 other eastern Kansas communities. Right now, the Sherwood rates are among the lowest. We're 16th out of 21. The range of rates goes from a low of $21.66 up to a high of $57.15 for 5,000 gallons for those 21 communities. The average rate of those communities is $33.93, but the median, meaning half of them higher, half of them lower, is $35.87. Here's a little bit of a brief financial overview. Revenues prior to 2000 ranged in the $600,000 to $670,000 per year average revenues for sewer rates. Right now, our revenues are about $1.3 million per year. Some of the expenses we have bond payments for some capital improvements that have been made over the years. We pay out around $700,000 a year. The amount of money we pay to the city of Topeka for operation and maintenance is about $400,000 per year, so that'd be a total of $1.1 million, only leaving us about a couple $100,000 for other things, emergencies, just other incidental expenses, which honestly gets eaten up throughout the year. So we're essentially about breaking even right now. So if we're just breaking even, then we have really no funds for upgrades or major maintenance items. And there are things coming down the line. I anticipate our next permit that we get renewed in a few years. There's some more stringent EPA requirements for the removal of phosphorus and nitrogen, which are nutrients. That will require, for sure, for one of the elements, a major construction project on site, and then the other one likely some fairly expensive chemical addition. So we're looking at some major things come down the line, plus some of the issues we've noted in our TV inspection and cleaning project, and it's just getting, pump stations are starting to wear out. We're having several pump stations we need to be looking at replacing here in years to come. So the bottom line is we need additional revenue to upgrade and maintain an adequate system. So the challenges we have many needs. We still have about 2/3 of our system to do additional TV inspection and cleaning. We've got collection system spot repairs, which could be lining the main, replacing the main, or just doing a repair, within just a 10-foot section that might need to be replaced. Several pump stations need to be rehabbed or replaced. As I mentioned, there's nutrient treatment requirements that are coming down the line from the EPA. In our rate study, we've identified about $1 million in collection system repairs and maintenance over the next 5 years that we believe will be needed, and $8 to $10 million in capital projects needs over the next 10 years. And as I mentioned, just overall increase in operation and maintenance costs. Our electric, we spend a lot of are using a lot of electricity in running that plant, and those costs continually go up. And our challenge is we have limited funds to do that and to be prepared for this. So as far as the rates they had mentioned, it was completed by professional engineering consultants. They evaluated all the aspects of the regional wastewater system, including the treatment plant, pump stations, and the collection system. And they developed a proposed rate structure that they provided to us for consideration. To us, when I say us, I mean Public Works, and we also reviewed this with Betty Greiner, Audit Finance. So once myself and Mr. Flanagan and Ms. Greiner looked at it, we then developed some alternate rate structure scenarios that we feel would be sufficient, yet better fit how we're trying to accomplish and how we implement it. Now these are PEC's recommended rates, and their recommendation is to increase that base charge up to $20 for the first 1,500 gallons. And then include an additional $10 per month surcharge for just capital equipment costs, and then have the volume charge at $4.50 to $5.50 over a certain amount of years, I think 6 years. So in 2016 and 17, if we went with that recommendation, the $5,000 per gallon monthly charge would be $45.75. In 2018 and 19, it would be $47.50. In 2020 and 2021, it would be $49.25. So that's pretty drastic. I will admit, that's pretty drastic. After we reviewed it, we took their recommendations as a starting point, and I guess I felt we really need to get the rates up to a point where at least would be level with what inflation has done over the years. That's the 37%. And I understand we can't do it all at once, so I want to do it in incremental steps over a period of several years, to kind of, for lack of a better term, ease ourselves into it. So we developed 5 varying alternatives, and the one that myself and Mr. Flanagan and Ms. Greiner came down to, I believe, keeps rates lower for fixed income and low water usage customers. So we're going to try to keep the base rate lower. It gets rates to the inflationary level over a 4-year period, and then my recommendation is that if we get something in place, because we typically have inflation every year, that we look at having such that it's an automatic adjustment annually that can be reviewed to determine each year if we don't want to have an annual adjustment. But the bottom line would be it's going to kick in automatically unless the commission votes to not kick it in the following year. That way we don't get into a gap again of 15 years not having any kind of increases. We met with the Sherwood Improvement District Board earlier this year to discuss the rates in the rate study. Honestly, I mean, like you would expect, no one's thrilled to hear that things may cost more, but they understood the need. You know, during our meeting, they indicated they want to protect their homes and the environment of the area that they live in. And essentially their question was how much and when it would be implemented. So our recommended rate structure that I'm proposing today for you all to consider and think about, again, is based on 5,000 gallons of usage. In 2016, we would recommend the base charge be increased to $12.95 per month with no capital surcharge, and the volume charge increased to $5.16 per thousand. At those rates, a 5,000 gallon usage customer would pay $31.01 per month. In 2017, the base charge would go up to $14.89 per month, no capital surcharge. The volume charge up to $5.67 per thousand gallons. So in 2000, if that next increment is made, then 2017 rate would be $34.74. In 2018, the base charge up to $17.13 a month, no capital expense surcharge, and the volume charge of $6.24. So if these rates then are in place, the 5,000 gallon user would have a bill of $38.97. And then in 2019, base charge of $19.69, no capital expense surcharge, and the volume charge is $6.87. So a 5,000 gallon user's rate would be $43.74. So our next step recommendations, what do we do next? Well, if first I want the commission to chew on this. You know, I know you're just hearing about this for the first time, and I think it'd be wise for the commission to dive into these numbers a little bit, ask questions, you know, things of that nature. But once we settle on something, or maybe even before, we get this information up on our website so people can start viewing it. They can start asking questions as well. But also have, you know, one or two public hearings where they can come in and provide their comments to the commission, so you can see where they're coming from, you know, as far as what's, you know, maybe palatable, what's not, and then we can have some dialogue with them as far as why it's needed. And then lastly, ultimately come to the decision, make a decision and implement the new rate structure. I know it's easier said than done, but I think it's the path we need to go. And then once we do come up with a rate structure, we'll work with the city of Topeka. They do our billing for us, so they would have to get the billing rates implemented into their system and make those adjustments so the bills can be calculated correctly. So with that, I am now open for questions.
The Sherwood Improvement District, and how do they coordinate with the wastewater? I mean, I know you met with them, but do they have any input into this, or are they just an advisory capacity only?
Well, actually, neither. We own and operate it. We just work with them as a courtesy, just so they know. And we put something in there in the Sherwood Gazette also, so people can get that paper. Have an idea if there's some discussion going on about rates. We didn't list any rates. We just said there's some discussion going on about rates, and that this is forthcoming. But no, really, they have neither involvement in the operation of the plant or their collections, and they are just users and customers of ours. But they represent a large body of our customers, not all of the customers, but a large body of the customers. And so we try to communicate with them just courtesy, so if they get questions from their constituents, then they can answer them.
The second question I have is, as we move forward looking at what to do, if there was to be a catastrophic failure needing immediate repairs, and reluctant even to say that, would we then have to look at bonding, or is the county responsible for that immediate repair?
County is responsible for that,
And
and
so-
as the owner, we would probably do some kind of emergency, I mean, if it was something really catastrophic and we didn't have the funds to, hopefully nothing that catastrophic would happen, but, you just never know, but,
So anything that exceeds the amount that's revenue generated, the county's responsible for.
yes. And as it is now, it's the users of the system that pay for everything. And that's the intent, is to continue for the users to pay for everything, and not have anyone else pay for any of it.
Questions, thoughts? Commissioner Archer?
Yeah, I really don't like when we neglect and don't plan like this, and then all of a sudden, we've got a very bad situation. I think it makes us look bad as an organization. I would recommend having at least 3 public meetings to gauge what the public thinks of this. I think that's very important. Another little technical thing, with the slide presentation, could you get a little bit lighter background?
Oh,
I'm
sure.
having trouble, particularly with the handouts in reading, and maybe it's just me, but I don't think that shows up very
Okay.
well. So,
Okay.
anyway, that's all I had, Mr. Chair.
I think that's well heeded. So Tom, if you could schedule some public hearings, meetings on this, and then after that, getting the input, bring it back to the commission. That would allow us time to digest this information and kind of think about what our response should be.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Now our treasurer item.
If he didn't fall asleep back there. No, I'm not saying that was boring, Tom. Boring. H, treasurer. Number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C 536-2015 with CBS Manhattan LLC as a sole source provider to upgrade security cameras for the courthouse motor vehicle and tax division at a cost of $10,254.56.
Good morning, Commissioners. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer. I'm glad I didn't have to arm wrestle Tom for the podium. When he wants to talk trash, he gets serious. This is a single source authorization for upgrading the security cameras here at the courthouse. It's going to be paid for 100% by motor vehicle funds. With an expenditure of this size, I would normally bid this, but because of security reasons and not wanting to open up our security system at the courthouse for public bid and scrutiny, and wanting to keep the system with one vendor for maintenance purposes, I think going sole source outweighs the benefit that I might achieve in savings. So I'm asking to just do a sole source on this one.
Questions?
Move to approve the contract.
Second.
Commissioners, in your motion, perhaps noting that you're going to waive the requirements of the purchasing resolution.
Yes.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer to approve the contract, waiving the sole source, or waiving the bidding requirement. And that's seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, passes 3-0. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item.
Item I, facilities maintenance. Number 1, consider approval of request to solicit proposals for a general contractor for the renovation work associated with the building at 2600 East Circle Drive South, future home of the Health Department.
Morning, Commissioners. Bill Kroll, Facilities Maintenance Director. This item is to allow us to select a contractor, a general contractor, so we can move forward with the renovation work at 2600 East Circle for the Shawnee County Health Agency. We've already had Schwartz Design Group selected and Latimer Summers and Associates as the architect and engineer even before I came on board. So this is a design bid build type project versus what we've been doing, which is design build. We need to get the contractor selected so we can make sure we get this thing going on time. So that's what's really before you, is give us the chance to get somebody selected. We do have, Schwartz has completed design drawings. At this point, we don't have the actual construction drawings, but we're confident that there'll be several contractors that will be willing to give us at least a ballpark estimate before they have the actual construction drawings as far as what this project could cost us.
Bill, do we anticipate this would still leave us time to be on a rough time frame of June of 2016?
Yes, we do. And Schwartz confident, Latimer Summers Associates confident, and some of the contractors that I've just visited with a little bit about this project coming up, so they know what's coming, are pretty confident. The nice part is it's indoor work during the winter, and they're all looking for that.
Yeah.
Move approval of the request.
Motion made by Commissioner Bueller.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item J, corrections. Number 1, consider approval of request to purchase various types of protective gear for employees to wear when responding to inmate disturbances at a cost of $17,450.02, paid with the 2015 Justice Assistance Grant Funds.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brian Cole, Shawnee County Department of Corrections. Before you is a request to upgrade and to replace the emergency response equipment that we have for our corrections emergency response team. This is funds that are given to us through our annual JAG grant, or our Justice Assistant Grant. These were not used for budgeted funds or taxpayer funds. But we do have an emergency response team that is used for obvious emergencies at the Department of Corrections. We do partner with other law enforcement agencies, but we also have times when we have planned uses of force or things like that, where we take the extra measure to prevent injury to staff and or the inmate. The existing stuff that we have is very, very old. It's time that we replace some of this, and this is a good opportunity. With the JAG grant, they do make specific specifications or requirements of what you can buy with these types of funds. In the past, we bought protection or the bulletproof vest or Kevlar vest, but we do have a need this year that we identified early on that we wanted to, and we wanted to make sure that we got this in front of the board for approval. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions regarding this item?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Archer for approval, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Our next
Thank you.
item. Thank you.
Item K, County Councilor, number 1, consider authorization and execution of contract C-537-2015 with Helping Hands Humane Society to shelter, feed, and to the extent necessary, dispose of stray dogs, cats, and other small animals, as well as dangerous animals at large in Shawnee County at a cost of $120,000.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rich Eckert, County Councilor. This is agreement that you see every year with Helping Hands. Today is Dick Klein, the only man that I know of that has experience in confining both humans and animals. This contract is a flat fee, $120,000. It kind of helps with the accounting, that we don't have to count each animal that comes through. The only way that it might exceed the $120,000, as you can see in paragraph 4, if we have excessive holds by municipal court, that could cause extra fees. But for the most part, we all expect that $120,000 number to be a very good number.
Rich, why would a municipal court hold be passed to the Shawnee County?
Well, what should happen is that the judge will assess those costs back to the person who is at trial.
Mm-hmm.
However, there's always the fact that maybe that person then gets found innocent. But what we hope is that eventually we'd get that cost back. But what we've determined is that it's not fair for Helping Hands to front that money. The county would front that money, since we're the one who captured the animal, took it to the shelter, and then we have initiated the charges.
But this would be if a sheriff's officer brought,
You're right, I said municipal court. At that point in time, it would be district court. Yeah, you're right.
all right, just clarifying that we're talking about anything that would be a sheriff's officer to the district
Yeah.
court as opposed to a law enforcement officer with the city of Topeka.
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Any other questions? I'll move for approval of the contract as presented.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Archer. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Also noting, Dick, thank you for all your service. As you, it's almost retirement row back there.
Looking at you, Luby.
Our next item.
Item L, Commission, number 1, discussion of 2016 legislative platform.
It's that time of year again, Commissioners, and I would point out that we appear in front of the Shawnee County delegation Monday at 1:30, and that's in room 218 North. And I would be glad to present on behalf of you, or the chair certainly could as well, whatever your desire is. I would like to remind you that this policy, this legislative policy, is your policy. You're free to delete one of the two things or both of them that I have put on there, and you're also free to add on anything that you would like to add. So this is your policy. We sent out a couple of emails to the department heads. There was not a stampede of information coming back to us. I did talk with Betty Griner about the tax lid. When I prepared this, of course, I don't do this in a vacuum. I had a conversation and several emails with Melissa at Kansas Association of Counties, Melissa Wangeman, and then I also reviewed the Johnson County legislative platform because they do a really good job. I know their lobbyist. He's a very good person, and as a matter of fact, I stole a paragraph from their platform because I couldn't say any better than what they said. I did attribute the authorship to them. With that, I would be glad to ask or handle any questions you might have, or just briefly go over these two items. Your preference.
And again, the time on Monday.
1:30.
And the public is welcome to that.
Yes, absolutely. It's an open meeting, and a lot of the times when I go to the State House, the room number has changed, so we'll be checking on that as we get closer in time. But I would like to say how I chose to handle the tax lid, as opposed to simply going up there and complaining about a tax lid, because that's how it would fall upon some ears. This is really a matter of local control, and I would like to approach it that way. One thing we've learned is that the legislature themselves, they just, and rightfully so, I might add, they do not like it when the federal government tells them what to do. And, there was just another matter in the paper the other day about the lesser prairie chicken. That's the federal government telling the state of Kansas how to handle their land use. And rightfully so, I think that's not a good thing. But the legislature then has no compunction about turning around and doing that to us. And that's what a tax lid is. It's our lesser prairie chicken, so to speak. So that's how I would like to approach this, and remind them, do unto others as you wish they would do to you.
Commissioners, are there items that you would want added to the legislative? And Commissioner Bueller, I thank you for getting this item back on the agenda for us to review. Is there any other items to be added or taken away? And I do not have any issue with Rich presenting on behalf of the commission, as he has done in the past. If time allows, I would like to attend, but I would be more than happy to allow Mr. Eckert to present on behalf of the commission.
And just so you know, anyone who's not familiar with this, that's the day that every legislature who a part of their district touches Shawnee County. They're invited to come. We have a pretty good turnout. Most of them do come. And then they just don't hear from the county and the city. It's the school districts. I think the library has a slot. It's just the various local governments and entities that in Shawnee County have an interest with the Kansas legislature. So it's much more than cities and counties.
And then I would move for approval of the legislative platform.
A second.
Motion made by Commissioner Cook, seconded by Commissioner Bueller. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Passes 3-0. Thank you. Our next item.
Item 5, administrative communications.
Are there any administrative communications this morning?
Commissioners, Tom Block from Public Works and Solid Waste. This is a solid waste item. I just wanted to let everyone be aware that this week, Solid Waste Department will be sending out our collection calendars for the 2016, which, when they get them, we ask that they stick on the refrigerator, keep it in a place, pulling it out every holiday week. But what it has it on, it has a listing of all our holidays and our collection schedules during those holiday weeks. When our household has its waste facility, it's going to be open on Saturdays, and also if they can remember which recycling week they're on, whether they're a red week customer or a blue week customer, it's color coded so they know which week their recycling needs to be brought. So these will be coming out in the mail next week, just to keep their eyes open for them, and hopefully I'll provide them information
Good.
as far as when everything's going to happen.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Good morning, Commissioners, again. Larry Moss, Shawnee County Treasurer, seems in. I'm following Tom again after he talks trash. It's December the 10th, a short 10 days from now, taxes are due. So just a friendly reminder, taxes, the first half, are due on December the 20th. Also want to point out, I think the majority of the public knows this, but every year we get this question. If you did not receive your tax bill for any reason, got lost in the mail, we had the wrong address, while we strive to pay your tax bill, we do not forgive penalties if you fail to pay on time because you didn't receive the bill. That is a fundamental responsibility of a homeowner to know the taxes are due, and if they don't receive that statement, to seek out that information. So we will not forgive penalties just because you didn't receive. So if you haven't received your tax statement, give us a call. We'll tell you the number right over the phone. But December the 20th, reminder, you're due.
Any other administrative communications this morning? Commissioner Archer?
No.
Commissioner Bueller?
Just a reminder that the Red Stocking Breakfast is Saturday at Carlos O'Kelly's for the Kansas Children's Service League, and so I think all of us are serving breakfast at one point in time on Saturday morning, so please be sure to visit.
Absolutely. The Joint Economic Development Organization held a meeting last night to review the report from Garner, talking about changes, potentially recommended changes to the structure of how we do economic development in Shawnee County. As we digest that report and look at some of its recommendations, of which there are 31, if members of the public have an interest, it is on the website for that to review. There is a JADO meeting also on December the 16th, which is next Wednesday, where we will discuss the priorities for the 2016 year and setting the budget for Go to Pika for that 2016 year. And all members of the public are invited to attend and participate with public comment. And with that, Madam Clerk, our next item.
Item 6, executive session.
There is a need of executive session today regarding personnel matters of non-elected personnel, consultations with an attorney for the body or agency which we deem privileged in the attorney-client relationship, and matters relating to employee or employee negotiations, whether or not in consultation with representative or representatives of the body or agency. I would ask that we allocate 30 minutes for that discussion. And as it should be no secret, as we're trying to work on salaries and compensation, that may be what we're discussing in executive session. And there's a motion made by Commissioner Cook.
Second.
All in favor say aye. All opposed? It is approved. We're in executive session for 30 minutes.
Mark Freed from Washington yesterday, and I said, I had until the end of the day to get me this document. And he said,
are back in session. No action was taken. We are adjourned.
And y'all have